Hello and good morning. If you're new here, my name is Denali, and this is a series where I sit in my car and I talk about things that are timely. Maybe they're reselling related, maybe they're personal. You get what you get. Happy Monday. How is everybody? I've got my coffee here. I only spilled it a little bit running out of my house this morning, but I've got that. I already ate my breakfast, so I feel accomplished that I got that done at home this morning. But I didn't film a video last Friday, and last Friday something happened to me, and I thought about over the weekend, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna film a video about this thing and talk about it here today. So what is said thing? Well, am I centered? I feel like I'm having to scoot down. Let me scoot this up a little bit. There we go. You're resting on a box of Icy Hot as well. I just stopped and got one because my shoulders are tense. This past week on Friday, there was an intruder in my building. So let me give you the full story. I came into work that morning and I did my usual activities, turn on the lights, turn on the heater, and what else? Oh, I came in later that morning. So that's another reason why I didn't film that video, because I didn't come in closer till around 11 o'clock-ish hour. So I started shipping, but it was just later than I typically do it. And then one of my employees came in and started their shift, and we were working, and we both usually wear headphones. So I had my headphones, earbuds, whatever, in my ears. And I try not to keep it at a volume that is going to prevent me from hearing other things happening, but also loud enough that these old lady ears can hear what's going on, or eardrums. And so I'm listening to my podcast and I hear talking. All of a sudden I hear someone's voice that I don't recognize, and it's not coming from my earbuds. And I walk out because I'm in the back corner of the warehouse. I start to walk back into the middle section of the warehouse, and there's a man standing there. And this is like instantly very shocking. And I started saying, and I have video footage, which for fun, I'm gonna insert it right here for you. I'm not gonna show you all the video footage that I have. There's actually 4 videos that I have in total of the person entering my building, but I will include the footage of me being startled and walking out. So I started to walk out and I started saying, hello, because I knew my employee was there, and my employee was only about 20 feet from me, sitting at one of the photo booths because they were about to photograph. And so I walk towards where my employee is seated, and I see there is a man standing in the middle of the warehouse, and he starts saying something at me. He's saying to my employee, or me, is the manager here? And we're very obviously not a retail business. So before I go any further, let me just tell you a little bit about what my building is. We are a warehouse location. I have had office spaces in the past. If you've been watching this channel for a while, I previously was in a secured building that was kind of, I don't want to say like little apartments, but it was like little office buildings. It felt like little apartments sometimes. I did see a bed in somebody's, or a mattress in somebody's unit, which you're not supposed to stay there. But anyways, so that building was secure. You needed key cards to get in and out of, video, camera monitored, all that sort of stuff. There would be customers of these different businesses coming into that building, but you had to get buzzed in because it was primarily a service-based building. So there was a lot of lash extensions, massage therapy, different stuff like that, or therapy, like therapists, different types of therapists that were in the building, all sorts of different stuff that was in my prior building. So everybody who was coming in was kind of vetted. They were supposed to be there for said service. The location that I'm in now is a warehouse park with individual warehouse units. Now, both of my new and my old location were on busy highways. My older location, I would say that highway that I was on could have had more interesting folks in the area. We'll just say that. And I would say you could still have interesting folks on the highway that I'm on, maybe a little bit less interesting. I've worked on that other highway before, so from experience I say that. Anyways, so just to give you a little bit context of the area. So I'm in a warehouse park now. However, they're individual units. So you're not getting buzzed into like one central unit to enter these buildings. It's really on you to be securing your unit. Now, as somebody who has listened to every crime podcast to ever exist and listens to them daily, and as a woman, I take security very seriously of myself and my body. And so I have an alarm system, and I also have multiple, I'll just go ahead and say multiple. I have multiple security cameras outside and inside of my unit for my protection, not just my personal protection and the protection of my employees, but also protection over my inventory if, something happened, right? So with all of that comes video footage, which again, I can't show it all to you, and I'll explain that in just a minute. So let me go back to me walking out and seeing this man in the middle of the warehouse. To be honest, he was closer to the back of the warehouse than he was the front. We'll just go ahead and tell you he was pretty far in. So he starts talking at me and saying something about a manager. And I said, excuse me, because this is not a public, again, like I said, we are not a retail space open to the public. I keep a very nondescript looking unit that is not inviting to come into. And I said, hello, I can speak with you outside of the unit. If you just walk with me, I can speak with you outside of our unit, as I would have greeted him at my door, correct? That's what I would have done. And he's like, what? Well, I blah, blah, blah. He starts saying something. It was, what's the word? I can't think of the word. I want to say legible, but that's handwriting. Whatever the legible of words would be. I couldn't understand what he was saying. He was plain clothed, not wearing anything that was an identifier to him. Typically, if I let somebody into our unit, for instance, the fire marshal or whatever, that's somebody who came recently, like does inspections and stuff like that, they wear an identifier, they're in their uniform, and they present me with a card. If I've had anybody from Comcast, they wear their Comcast uniform, they present me with their card. Somebody from the energy, if they've come and check our heating units, they present me with a card. So there was no identifiers on his body. He was carrying a very dirty looking rag. So my guess is that he was perhaps from he maybe wanted to do some cleaning. I wasn't sure because I couldn't understand what he was trying to tell me. And I said again to him, sure, I can speak with you. Let's walk outside of the unit. And as I said it the second time, he got really angry and he said, forget about it. And he threw up his hands, which again, I can't show you the video footage, but I have it on video of him doing that. And so I walked him back up to the front door because, he got angry and threw up his hands, and I walked him to the front door. I said, I can speak. I think I said on the, a third time, I can speak with you out here. And no, he wasn't having anything to do with me. And so he left and I locked the door. So that right there, you might be thinking, well, how did he get in? Yeah, the door was unlocked. So typically we lock it. Of course, it's the one time that we didn't lock it. And it's just a reminder to always be locking and securing your area. But it was the one time that it was not locked and somebody did enter. And so I went back and I looked at my video footage because I kind of wanted to just, when something happens so quickly, you're like, I didn't even have time to process that. I didn't have time to think about it. And you kind of want to like look at it from all areas, because in the moment I was like, was that too much of me to say I can speak with you outside of the unit, or at the door of my unit is essentially what it was, right? Where I would have greeted him had he rang our doorbell or knocked. So I wanted to go back and look at that footage. So 2 things that I said there. We have a doorbell, and which I installed, and it has the chime that is in the main warehouse, and it's on the loudest volume, so we can hear it. We can always hear it. There's no like, I didn't hear the doorbell. No, you're gonna absolutely will hear it. And then secondly, you can just pound on our window, and it's the mail. I have the mailman do it, because sometimes if he doesn't always hit the doorbell for whatever reason, he likes to knock. And so I've told him, just knock really loud if you're gonna knock. And so you can always knock really loud on our front door and we'll hear it. So I go back and I look at the footage, because I'm like, maybe he rang the doorbell and it didn't go off, or maybe he knocked and we didn't hear it. I'm thinking like, okay, benefit of the doubt here. I go back and look at the footage. No, I can see him approaching the unit, and he walks right in. Like, he walked in the way that you work here or belong here sort of walk in. So that's a little startling, because I don't know what nondescript, uninviting office warehouse unit you would do that to. Secondly, if you enter my unit, it is, again, if you didn't pick up from the front door, once you enter, it is very obviously, oh, I am not supposed to be in here. I mean, my office arguably borderline looks like somebody's bedroom, just because it's trashed right now and it's very unorganized. So that right there would have, in my opinion, if it was me, that would have halted somebody from continuing any further. That was not the case. Because the camera footage from that showed him walk right in. There was no like stopping once he got in and looking around like, oh, what am I doing? No, he continued in, breezed right past that, right back into the warehouse. And by the time I found him, he was standing about 5 feet from my employee, which again is troubling. So with all of that information that I kind of gathered from looking at that footage and my interaction with them, of course I'm going to err and be, like I said at first, like, did I overreact to that? And the truth is no, because even once I asked him to speak with me outside, he got very upset and offended by that, which to me is very entitled. He walked into our unit very entitled, like that, as if he were allowed to be there. And then when I asked for him to speak with me on my terms in my unit, he got very upset and wouldn't do that. So no, I don't think I was. I think I took the personal safety steps needed for protecting myself and my employee. Even if he was not a threat to us, I can't know that, because there's nothing when I look back at the evidence that would show me that. He walked directly into our unit. He was not identified in any way. When I asked for him to speak with me in a space where I felt safe, he said no. So even if he meant no harm, he didn't give me the opportunity to feel as if there were no harm. So what is this? I don't know. Is it a story? Is a story. Is it a reminder to take care of your own personal safety and your own personal space, especially if you have, whether it be, your office is at your house or your office is off-site? Most definitely, if it's off-site and you are working alone, or you have employees who are going to be working alone, those people, it's my job to take care of them as well. And I always tell them, if no one is here, lock this building. I have one employee who actually sets the alarm while they're here in the unit. So they turn off the alarm when they come in, but then they set it for the non-motion detector mode. Is that the word I'm looking for? Because they still want to feel safe that if somebody were to enter which that's a great idea. I thought about that, but sometimes during the day, I go in and out of the unit a few times because I maybe go to the post office or whatever it is. So I don't bother with it, but it's a great idea, especially if somebody working here in the evenings or on the weekends alone, whatever the case is. So take care of yourselves. That's one thing I've learned from listening to crime podcasts. My favorite podcast is Crime Junkie, and I believe their saying is, be weird, be rude, stay safe. And I agree with that. Be weird. Like if you feel like I shouldn't act this way because people will think I'm being weird right now because maybe feel suspicious about something, that's fine. Be weird and be rude. As a lifelong people pleaser, of course, my immediate reaction after the interaction was, I was rude. That's not how I should have behaved. I should have invited him into my space. I should have let him just say whatever he wanted at me and my employee in my unit. But the reality is no. If he thought I was rude, or if anybody thinks that interaction was rude, I did it because I wanted to protect myself and my employee in that situation. So be weird, be rude, stay safe, and I'm safe. So that's the good news. That's kind of the video. And I'm curious, I guess if, anyone else would have done something differently. If you've had situations like that where you felt like you just had to be direct with someone and tell them your needs in the situation, because I kind of really think that's what it is. Like, this is what I need from this situation. You didn't kind of play by my rules in my space, and so this is what I'm going to need you to do. So yeah, let me know if you've ever had this sort of interaction before, and how did it go? And have you felt what I felt, which is, how sometimes I think as a woman you feel is just that, oh gosh, I have to be nice and accommodating. And that's one of the things I learned in crime podcasts, is that no, you don't have to all the time. So anyways, I don't want to ramble on for forever, and I've got to get going. I'm going to film a ship with me video today. I think I'm going to do it. I have a ton of shipping, which I would have just done that for today. But to be honest with you, offhand, I probably have, I'm going to go ahead and say like 50 plus packages minimum. Is there somebody going to my unit? Speaking of people, no, there's a lot of people coming to work. 50 plus packages today. So I'm going to film as much as I can, but I'm going to have to make it tomorrow's video. So if you like ship with me videos, I will have that for you tomorrow. Yes. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.